Hi, my name is Tugce Tari-Roth, and I'm the Assistant Director of the WPTA Amateur Piano Competition. And I have another guest today, and your name is Diana Gao. Hi, Diana.
Hi, Tugce.
Did I
Thank you
say
for
that?
having me.
And I said your name correctly, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
that's right.
perfect. Wonderful. Could you please tell us where you're from, how old you are, when you started playing the piano?
Yeah, I originally from China. I grew up there, and I currently live and work in Seattle.
Mhm.
I'm 34 years old, and so your question is when did I start to play the piano? I started to play the piano at the age of 3, I would say. Yeah, 3 to 4. I can't remember exactly, but
Right.
it's a pretty early age, and
And
I love
then
it.
you got your piano education in China before you came to US, and did you also continue to
Yeah.
have lessons in US?
Yes, yeah. I studied with a teacher when I was in China, and then I stopped studying, like taking private lessons, since I moved to a different city for college with a different degree, and then I came to the States for another degree and started working, and then I just started taking lessons again since almost 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. May I ask you how old you are?
I'm 34.
You're 34. Okay. I see you have Beethoven sonatas behind you.
Oh yes.
Yes. That's the year
Very
for it. We're still in,
popular.
yeah, we're still in 2020, so that's good.
Yes.
And how did you find out about WPTA amateur piano competition?
I actually searched. I searched on Google because I'm interested in participating in some kind of music activities, including competition, and this competition came up. So it looks like a pretty good one. So that's how I.
Okay. And did you just write amateur piano competition?
Mm-hmm.
Or else?
Exactly.
Okay, wonderful. And is this the first time you're doing a competition?
Uh, I will say yes for piano competition. Yes, the last time I did a competition is probably 30 years ago when I was 4 years old, and I think it's for electronic piano. So
Okay. Okay. And you have a profession, right? You go to work, or are you a student? You have a profession. Okay. And how is a typical day for you?
so I do I do the standard office work. I mentioned where I'm working.
Mhm.
So I'm a marketing manager at Microsoft. So I'm
Okay.
doing I have a lot of a lot of meetings during the day. So my typical days, I started at 8 a.m. particularly, and I have some early meetings because I have stakeholders working in different countries, like in Germany, India, and even China. And then I had breakfast, and then responded to a lot of emails and work on the PowerPoint a lot, like marketing strategy, messaging, and get some work done, and then had some other meetings because I'm in a business function, and a lot of work needs some collaboration with other stakeholders. And then normally it wrapped up my day at around 5 or 6 p.m. And then I had dinner, and then I would just switch to the piano mode, and then came to the piano room and just practice until I sleep. So
Okay. And when you sleep, how many hours do you practice?
about I would say about 2 to 3 hours every day.
Oh, wonderful. Very nice. Cool. Yay, bravo. And
Thank
would
you.
you say would you say that it's sort of a way to shut off from the world and from your work? Is that why you practice? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I've got to do that to ensure some practice time.
Yeah. And it probably relaxes you, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
absolutely enjoyed it, and I never felt I had enough time to practice. So
That's really nice. And I mean, having meetings all day long cannot be so easy, really. You have to focus, you have to be on the computer, and then you have piano, something just really real, and you have a
yes,
very nice piano, and it's just you can really work with it, and you work with sound and bring some life to what you're doing. And that's probably a very different, refreshing feel for you.
yes.
And then you're not looking through a screen again. You have a nice
Mhm.
sheet of music. You have a very nice edition, by the way. The Henle Verlag has a very nice color, so it's easy also in the eyes. It's a little bit, it's not so white, so it's a little bit easy to read and yeah, it's
Absolutely, totally
yeah,
agree. That
very
really
nice.
helped me find the peace of mind when I practice in the evenings.
Cool. And I assume, do you play only classical music, or do you also have other genres that you're interested in?
I'm currently only focusing on classical music. I
And
really like it.
why do you love classical music?
Uh, I think maybe because it's something I started to listen a lot since I was really, really young. Because both of my parents are big fan of classical music, and my dad bought a lot of classical music tapes at that time, and then DVDs and a lot of music. So I was just like involved, heavily involved in that kind of environment since I was very small. So that's how I got love. I fell in love with classical music. Although I don't mind listening to other music as well, but this is something that can really inspire me. That whenever I catch classical music, I just cannot stop listening to it and find the name and then maybe save something to my favorite playlist. It's just
Right.
a habit that I formed since I was young.
That's really nice. I also don't mind listening to other genres, and some of them are just so wonderful, and I really like it too. But when it comes to playing it, I really enjoy classical music because it has this depth to it that
Yes.
other genres just doesn't speak to me in that sense. Maybe a jazz pianist will say I'm wrong, but I'm not a jazz pianist. I took some jazz when I was doing my master's at Peabody, but I'm not a jazz pianist. But I'm sure that when you go into depth of something, I'm pretty sure that you can also get lost in it with every field. I'm pretty sure about that. But for me, in my taste, in my own experience, classical music is just never ending. And we also are very lucky as a pianist to have such a vast choices of repertoire that you can spend your entire life on it, and you'll always have more pieces written, and it will never
Yes.
be ending. So that's quite exciting, in my
Yes.
opinion. And may I ask you about your repertoire? What do you mostly have?
Like what I'm currently working on.
Or
So
yeah,
yeah,
that's
general.
mhm,
Yeah, I really want to play a wide variety of works from different composers.
mhm,
So I played Beethoven sonatas. I really like it, and specifically this year is the 250th anniversary of Beethoven. So I practice more Beethoven sonatas. And also, I play a lot of Chopin's works, like Chopin etudes, nocturnes, impromptus, and all of that. I really like Chopin, and he's like a poem, so I really like it.
mhm,
And also Schubert. I really like Schubert because of this like he wrote music for simplicity, and he invited people to listen to enjoy his music for simple reasons, and I really like that pureness of his music.
mhm,
And I currently practice some work from Brahms as well, Brahms Rhapsody number one and two, and also Mendelssohn,
mhm,
one open composer like the Mendelssohn Fantasy, Opus 28, um,
mhm,
and try to practice some Tchaikovsky as well, and like Rachmaninoff, and I also try to play more concerto,
mhm.
like in the upcoming years. So it's
Eh,
probably a little bit too ambitious. I really like a lot of works. I want to practice a lot, but time is limited, so I want to take one step at a time.
yeah, yeah, I understand. Have you played with an orchestra before?
Not really. Oh, maybe when I was very small, like 8 years old.
Okay. Which
Yes.
piece did you perform?
Oh my gosh, I really can't. I can't remember, but it's not a typical like classical piece, like the big works from Tchaikovsky and all of that. It's more like a componist, but I mean the
Okay.
piano is in the center, and
Okay.
it's collaboration with my school orchestra, my elementary school orchestra. So
Yeah, that's really nice. That's nice that they had an orchestra at the elementary school. How amazing is that?
yes.
And when you select, for example, you want to play another Beethoven sonata, do you go by which one you like, or do you have some sort of a system in your head? Do you say, well, you know what, I'm going to learn the first eight sonatas this year, or whatever it is? So do you make this kind of plans, or do you just go by feel and which one you would really like to play next?
I mean, honestly, I love all the sonatas of Beethoven. My eventual goal is to be able to play all the 32 sonatas, or maybe
Mhm.
35. from Beethoven, and currently I just follow my teacher's guidance. And my teacher, I trust her. She's a wonderful teacher, and she always have good recommendations. And she will, based on my current where I'm at currently, and she will find the
Okay.
pieces that can really optimize my
Right.
practice.
And how many did you play? How many sonatas do you have under your belt?
I would say four. It's really
Okay.
not because I stopped studying taking lessons for quite a few years,
Right.
and I just started taking lessons again to less than two, like a year and a half ago. So I'm
Mm.
still like ramping up.
Okay, wonderful. And is there any way that, I mean, I understand that you're very motivated. You already practice up to 3 hours a day, but is there anything that you search for that also keeps you motivated? Do you just maybe go on YouTube, or do you Google certain things that sort of keeps you connected?
Absolutely, I followed several YouTube channels from different pianists, and it's a good way to just experience. Some of them are good bloggers. I mean, they just film what's a typical day like for them. And when they participate in a competition or went for a concert tour, they just filmed everything and tell their story. I felt that's a good way to experience a different lifestyle and also understand what it looks like to be a concert pianist. So, and also some of the bloggers just show you how they practice a certain piece. And
Mhm.
for example, if that piece it happened to be a piece that I'm working on, then I can learn a lot from those kind of videos. And also some good music programs like Living a Classical Life is one of my favorite YouTube shows. They
Okay.
interviewed a lot of great musicians and pianists, and I learned their life story a lot. So those are all good ways to keep me motivated. And also I read a lot of books that my teacher recommended, like some biographies of Beethoven and Chopin, and like some books about the art of playing the piano. And
Mhm.
so I have a long book list to read as well.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. That's really good. Do you have an ultimate goal for yourself?
Well, the ultimate goal is to make the world a better place through playing the piano. Because I thought maybe it just sounds too broad, but I know it's
No,
really the ultimate goal because I think piano for me is obviously it's not my occupation, but it's for me it's more like a religion. I would say I just really strong believe it can really inspire people to be kind and do good things to the community and even
absolutely.
make the world a better place. Especially for this year, it's so special. It's a difficult year, and I was lucky enough to be working in a company that has a give culture, like Microsoft has that giving campaign in October. It's throughout the year, but in October is a month that will do a lot of giving campaigns, the charity campaigns. And this year, everything is online, and that gives me an opportunity to offer online recital for Microsoft.
Oh,
And it's a fundraising recital, and I raise a lot of money within that hour of recital. So that really make me even more motivated. I can really see how this can make a direct impact to the community and to people's life.
oh, that sounds amazing. I actually share the same values with you. I think children who learn how to play the piano, they stay out of trouble. They become more secure inside, even though piano playing can also give you a lot of insecurity because it's a very difficult task to do. But
Mm,
inside of them, they will have this base to come back to. So they do stay out of trouble. I actually have not noticed that until somebody that I was teaching, she mentioned it to me in after the lesson. She said, "Well, thank you for." I was much younger. I was in my 20s by then, 22 or so. So thank you so much for teaching my children because they stay out of trouble. And I never occurred to me because I always played piano. I always taught, and so then
mm,
I realized that after I was older and after I had children my own, now I
mm.
really get it. And I think um, everything that you do by playing the piano, you also contributed in a way that's source of energy. I mean, whether you do the concerts for others or not, you just collaborate in such a good feeling. It spreads positive energy to the world, and it doesn't get lost, in my opinion. And
Absolutely.
I also think it makes the world a better place. Maybe,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So
Totally. Thank you for sharing.
I love.
Great because it's also another reason why when I decided to start taking lessons again. That's exactly because of that. Because I just casually posted some piano videos on YouTube just for self entertainment at that time, But I got some good comments from people from different countries, and one of them mentioned that, you know, I used to be singing in a church as an amateur singer, and I stopped going for a while, and after watching your videos, it just inspired me to go back to church and connect with my friends and work in the church again. So that is just an example. I can see how much of a direct influence that I can make to people's life by playing the piano. And then it's like I've got to take it up and keep it up and take lessons. And I want to present it in a more professional way, even if I'm not making money for it, but it's making positive impact to
Yes.
people's life.
And also another thing, that the fact that you're really trying to do it really well and you put in the effort to it, that also makes a big difference on when other people see it. You know,
Mm,
so just
yes.
all, oh, this makes me feel so good. I feel so warm inside right now.
Oh, thank
And
you.
it's
Same here.
yeah, it's also you know, I think I'm gonna sleep really well this evening. So this is
Oh,
really
good.
nice. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope we can chat more like in the future.
Yes, absolutely. I would love that.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love that.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yes. Is there anything that you wish that existed on online, or I don't know, for yourself, or a community or something else that could just help you?
Sure. I think what you are currently doing is really good, like organizing this competition for amateurs. And it's not only about competition. I felt like it's like a package, because we're not only getting this opportunity to compete and submit the videos, but also we can observing the master classes, and we have this kind of interviews and talking to people like you, awesome people like you, who share the same value with us. And you're working in the professional world, and we can learn more about what it looks like in a professional world, and improving ourselves in piano playing and the musicianship in general. And also, the reason I participate in a competition is also to like get into a community, to know a lot of people who share the same value and interests, and they all have different backgrounds, but they all serious. They all have this serious hobby of playing the piano. So it's really really nice. And I hope, because this year is different, it's all online, but in the future, post pandemic, I hope we can have more in person interactions. Maybe we can observe some master classes in person, and even expose to some professional communities. As a part of this competition package, we can listen to some good lectures with some professional students together, some kind of camp, I would say, for amateurs. And
Yeah.
that's good.
Yes, and you know what? If even though you work in the, well, I would call it corporate world, there's as I grew older, I saw some parallels between the corporate world and also music playing. It's not that emotionally, it's not the same thing, because the corporate world can also be very dry, and we get to play with music that gives emotions to us. But at the end, I think in any task that we do in life, anything that we pursue, um, you have to have some sort of purpose to it. Like when you have an inner purpose with everything that you do, then you eventually get happy about what you're doing, and then you have a goal to acquire, even though the outside circumstances may not allow it. Let's say you don't like your boss, or something else happens and it's out of your control. When you have that inner purpose, then it keeps you going, and then you sort of reach a destination that opens a lot of different doors to you. Same thing with music. And in the past, I didn't understand it when I said, but I think anybody who is really, well, quote unquote, happy in what they're doing, I think they have this inner purpose within themselves, even though it feels like from the outside, it doesn't feel like it or seem like it, because it's the corporate world, for example, you know. So I think the pursuit of excellence, I mean, within our ability as much as possible, gives us this gift at the end. Anything that's just very difficult to do, it sort of gives this. Sorry, I think that is a.
Sure, no
It sort of
problem.
it sort of gives this kind of uh, gift to us. So it just grows us, basically. So if we had everything very easy and light and everything, it doesn't give us this kind of joy at the end of it. But it's difficult to understand it when we're young, also, because it's hard to learn new pieces, hard to learn music, or hard to work, hard to do schoolwork, or anything like that. But if you just can get yourself used to it, and just do the work, basically, at the end you see that it grows you, and you're in a very different level, very different outlook in life, and it just makes you the hardship actually makes you a happier person if you can
Yeah,
get
yeah,
over the hurdle of it.
yeah, exactly. I love it. Thank you for sharing. I really like that it make you happier and it makes me a better person by like taking lessons and going back to piano seriously again. And it's a good way to balance your work life as well.
I
So
think it's also the attitude. The more we choose something that's difficult, the more our attitude, it turns into just going out there and just doing it. And then that sort of gives us this sort of inner satisfaction, I believe.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So anything you would like to ask the concert pianist?
Oh, to as a concert pianist, I just want, yeah, I'm curious to learn what it how it feels like being a concert pianist. What is a typical day? What is their biggest challenge of being a concert pianist? What they enjoy most as a concert pianist? Sorry, it's not what it's so many questions.
Well, first of all, I would say that you shouldn't think yourself so separate from me, for example. I would from give my example from my experiences. You and I are not so different. You do it also at a high level, at the best of your ability. You also perform for other people. The only difference is probably that I have degrees on the subject and you have different degrees on different subjects. So that's pretty much the only thing. And I have a little more experience with playing and maybe master classes with other masters and etc. or festivals or whatever. But at the end, we are actually both in the same path. And I learned the other day that the word amateur means comes from aimer, which is love. So this is the feeling of love that you have for your instrument or whatever you're doing. So I share the same thing. But when it comes to sitting down and learning a new piece, for example, I look at it as a with a fresh eyes, and I never think, oh, I can do this now, yeah, I'm so experienced. No, I look at it in a very humble way as much as I possibly can. And I actually always try to tell myself to stay humble, stay respectful, stay humble, because sometimes I can also say, you know what, I'll just do it in a short amount of time. Well, it just doesn't always give justice to it. So um my approach is also similar, probably like you. And the only, as I said, the only thing that I have is the difference is that I have more experience and I had more education over it and more degrees and things like that. But I think I can give you an example. Now I'm a little bit older. When I was younger, it was more about trying to play and having an ability to play well. And I understood the pieces as parallel to my life experience. So because I was young, let's say I was 10 years old. Well, at 10 years old, I didn't really understand Beethoven so well. And I didn't like Beethoven. I liked Mozart instead because that could speak to me much better. But then after I was older, I realized Mozart was actually quite difficult to play. It was
Yes.
just all cute and nice melodies, but it has such a different kind of um, depth and colors that you have to get through how you're playing. That's so much more. I mean, it's very, you have to be very skillful to be able
Yes.
to play Mozart actually. But of course, as a 10 years old, you don't understand it. You know, you get certain things later, but you do your ability level that you can as with your life experience. And so as I grew older in my teenage years, I was then of course it's life, so it becomes more about yourself, and in the 20s too. So it was more about me. So when I was playing, I thought they came from me, but now I realize, I mean, they don't really come from me, they come from music. So it's also a nice relief because it actually makes me less nervous. And I think, you know what, it's not about me, they're not coming from me. Maybe my name is there, maybe they want to hear me, but it's actually for the sake of music and hearing it. So my task, I think to myself, is to go somewhere else where I can also take them with me. I can so they can experience something else. And this actually, I did not come to the realization on my own. I searched for it for a long time. I was always analyzing and thinking, you know, what's actually behind it. So all these things. Then finally, I had the epiphany when a few people after a concert told me, you know what, I actually, you really took me some other places. And these were people that never been to a classical music concert in their lives. They came because they were my friends, or they, for some other reasons. And then they said, you know what, I really want somewhere else. I would like to go to more concerts. So that actually changed my mindset. Then I said, this is the purpose of it, to take them to some other places that's outside of their lives, and to
Yes.
try to give them something else that they cannot truly explain with words. I also can't explain with words what I do. I mean, the music. And then it also brings people together, and it's just a different dimension. So if I go to the different dimension on my own, they also will come along. So then it sort of gave me a really nice relief, because it wasn't about me anymore. So I love that, So it took me a while actually to get this. I had to, grow up to understand this.
Great
But
point.
sorry,
It's a great point.
yeah. But once I got that, then I was just it was a peaceful feeling inside of me.
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, it's not about me. It's about the music. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good mindset that can help you focus and be in the moment while you're performing on the stage. Because sometimes, originally, I have that challenge. Sometimes when I felt like I'm not at my 100% when I'm
Mm,
presenting music to other people because of the nerve. It's just due to whatever reason. It's just hard to focus sometimes. But
mm,
I heard a saying that you just need to focus less about yourself, but focus more on the music. But
mm,
it's easy to say. It's hard to do that. When I need some practice. So when you say they are not coming here for me, they're coming here for music. I think that's a good thing to remind ourselves to really focus on music when you're making music for others. So that's a
mm.
great point. I love it.
It is a very difficult task. I'm not saying I'm perfect at it, and I always have it, and it's very easy. No, when I try to get ready for performance and I rehearse, I actually try to imagine that they're out there, and I'm not feeling that I'm physically playing, but I try to get outside of my physical body. So I try to imagine I'm in the zone. Of course, you have to know the pieces quite well in order to get in the zone.
Yes,
You can't
that's true.
struggle, yeah, you can't struggle with where you are, and and then be in the zone at the same time. It doesn't work, so you got to do the work first. But uh, then yeah, one of the exercises that I do is I practice, and then one day I just play, and then I just listen to myself outside of the play. I try to hear myself from the outside, on the other side, where the audience is going to hear. So I try to actually have an ear there and hear the reflection of how it's going to be in the hall, for example.
Wow.
So that's one of the things that I try to exercise, because otherwise, like when we sit down on the keys and we always hear each ourselves from front, you know, even though with the upright, of course, you're going to hear it from front mostly, but with the even though you play, let's say, on a grand piano, you would, if you focus on notes and what you're doing, you will still hear the sound from the front. But then you have to try to shift your attention, that you're sort of hearing it from the side and from how it's vibrating in the whole room. Then you start to actually let go, and then it feels like your fingers are playing naturally on its own, and you're listening to yourself of how it comes out. Then you can actually make music during the time that you're playing, and
That's so
that's really alive, and that's really spontaneous that way. So otherwise you can have uh, the uh, I'm not going to call it mistake, but um, the danger of trying to play too perfectly, where you memorize everything, you try to do everything so well, and you work so hard on it that you just do it like this. No, the performance actually changes according to the people. So if you can let go the way that I mentioned, then you can also have this exchange of energy between them, and every hole that you play, every people that you play for, will probably change the feeling in that piece according to how also they feel. But
wow.
you have to let go and let in, so that you can play with it spontaneously at that time. So this is actually what we're doing, is art in the most spontaneous way. So when you do an artwork, when you paint, you can just this is my painting, by the way, in the back. When you paint, you can just paint, and then it's just there. But when you're doing music, you do paint up in the air. But every time is a little bit different because you're different, the circumstances different. Sometimes we think we play well and we don't play so well, but sometimes we think we play bad, but then the audience loves it. So it's a little bit, it's a very subjective and interesting field, I would say.
Yeah, that's great insights. Oh my gosh, I really appreciate that you shared this experience. I love hearing more, if possible. This
Yeah.
is so fascinating. Because
Yeah.
I'm, I'm seriously practicing piano right now, and I hope I have some opportunities to perform as well. So I really want to learn people's experience of performing on the stage and how to deal with the nerves. And I think what you mentioned just now is a great insights of kind of having a subject year and a subjective year and an objective year. Like you hear about yourself playing, and also you hear from the audience perspective how that sounds from outside.
Mhm.
So I think that's a good point. It's very insightful. Thank you
It
so
took
much.
me, thank you. It took me many years to figure these out. I mean, not everything that I say was just, did not come from the teachers, I would say. Some did, some didn't come from the teachers at all. It really came with personal experience, which is also good. But it would have been nice if I knew some of the things when I was younger. It would have really helped, I think. But it's okay. It's just life. Some things I guess were meant to be in a way that I had to probably figure it out on my own and just value it more, I guess. But yeah.
Right.
So, but I love thinking and analyzing. That's the thing that just gives me really a lot of joy, and I'm constantly thinking. I'm not an introvert. I mean, maybe sometimes I am because in order to play the piano, you also have to be introvert, and But I'm naturally, I think, extrovert. I believe. So I do both, but I love having the silence of time where I can just hear my thoughts. So I have two small kids. I usually can't hear my thoughts in the day. I just hear them, and then I just respond to their needs. But I love the evening times or early morning times, or when I can have just 1 or 2 hours, I can just think and just let everything in. Then you find your. I mean, I think piano playing is not just only about sitting and practicing, but also letting things just sit in you and just simmer and mature, and then you have the different understanding that to actually convey to other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's good to know. I'll start applying some of the tips and experience you shared today. I'm sure
Yeah.
that's gonna help me a lot. I'm gonna benefit from the experience you shared a lot. Thank you so much.
Cool. I'm actually happy about to hear that. I have a YouTube channel that I want to expand. I also have on my website. I have a website, Tari-Roth.com, and I started a blog on there a few years ago. But it was not intended for specific audience. It was just intended as ideas when I was teaching and just for students, just a little bit here and there. And then I sort of let it be because I had my second child and I was quite busy. And now I thought to myself, well, it will be a good opportunity now to get back to it and then prepare these tips for people to use on themselves. And then read you the blog. Basically, you can just sign up, and
That's awesome.
I can notify you, and you can just sign up your email.
Yeah, do you mind sharing that, sending that through email?
Yes, I will share it. Yes, I
Oh,
will share it. Absolutely. And then
awesome.
with the YouTube channel too, I will get more active. So all these things that we talked about will also be as tips, maybe 5 minute tips of how I do things and so on. I don't know if I can talk for 5 minutes. I have to prepare it. Otherwise, I talk a little bit too long, I think.
That's great. I will
I could,
absolutely follow it.
sure.
Just last question, I'm really curious as a professional concert pianist, how many hours do you practice every day? Like on
Um,
average?
well, I actually depends. If I have the chance, I would do a lot of hours. And I remember one time I performed. I was 30. I performed. I had no kids. I have no family, so I had all the time in the world at that time. So the 1 week before the performance, I think it was a spontaneous performance that was scheduled a month before or something like that. So I had to prepare, and then I did. I think I did 8 or 10 hours.
Wow.
but that's not something I mean, now if you ask me what I do now, it's so limited. It's probably less than you, because we're in lockdown. I have two kids at home. I have to do homework with them. I have to, my second kid is just 2 years old. I mean, it's almost impossible for it. So I even took notes. Q Butler, the organizer of the director of the competition, she asked me to play two Beethoven sonatas in the 32 sonatas series that she was putting together, and somebody actually canceled. So I said, okay, I'm going to play those sonatas, but I never played them before. It was number 5 and 6, and so I had 4 weeks to prepare it. I said, okay, 4 weeks, I can do it, no problem. The kids they can go to school and everything's fine. What happened is that I had 1 week, I started reading the notes. The second and third week, we had quarantine. Somebody had corona in the school, so we had to keep my daughter in the house in quarantine, not going outside for 14 days, and that was not so easy. And then the following week, both of my kids were sick with fever. So one with fever and the other, then I lost 3 weeks. So I actually calculated in a matter of those 4 weeks, I could only practice 28 and a half hours. So if you divide it onto the 6 movements of the sonata, which is going to be premiered tomorrow, by the way, tomorrow, Sunday.
Oh, I would love to watch it.
Yeah, the 20th. Yes, it's on YouTube on the WPTA. So I could not memorize it fully, and I just couldn't. So I had music in front of me. I didn't like it. I'm embarrassed about it, but I just could not do any better. There's 28 hours of time. I just couldn't do any better. And I was up at night with my kids. So it's just challenge, but I also learned to also cherish this. I mean, I have kids now. I want to be there for them, and that's also it. That's what it is. And I know that I will just it's okay. So that's what it is right now. And it's really calm. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, managing a family and kids and piano at the same time is not easy.
Yeah.
Totally.
I also teach.
Oh
And,
yes. Okay.
yeah, I also teach a little bit, and also online masterclass, other things. So it's a little bit. The time is quite limited.
Yeah, but you have accomplished a lot of things by handling all of these at the same time. That's good for you. I look forward to seeing your premiere video tomorrow.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
sure it's great. Because sometimes I don't think it's so embarrassing with with the music in front of you. Because as long as you make good music, I mean, who cares if you have a if you have a music sheet or not? That's another comment I heard from another music program. I think of the video.
That's also true. But I also mentioned that earlier today, that having the music in front of you is both a disadvantage and an advantage. So it's an advantage because you have the music, but it's a disadvantage because you don't get into the music so well. You have the notes, you have the component of sight of your senses. So when you play and you're in the zone, you only have the senses of touch that's really augmented. So the rest of the senses should not even be there, basically. The eyesight, the hearing, of course, hearing and touch, basically. But the rest of them should not really be there. The seeing should not really be a component that's there. So when you add that in, then you lose a little bit from the other senses. So you know how they say people who can't hear, who can't see, or who can't hear, who can't see, they actually hear really well. So because one of the senses is gone, the other one is really augmented. Same thing, when we use the eyesight well, then we sort of diminish from the other ones. So that's the disadvantage about it. I would think.
Yeah, it's both ways.
Yes. Well, okay. Very nice. Well, thank you very much for participating in the interview. I really enjoyed it too. And anything you would like to add?
Not really. I mean, I'm sure I have a lot of questions. I always want to chat with great musicians like you. So I hope we can keep connected and keep talking and yeah, keep connected in the future.
Absolutely. One thing I would like to say about recordings, for example, you had to record yourself to send it to the competition. Recording is my least favorite component. I just don't like having a cold camera there. and
Absolutely.
judge myself of the fact that I should do a good job and it should be it. I mean, it to me recording was is not a nice thing to do, and so I rather have an audience who listens to me. It's a live event with an audience, and that's it. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah, it feels very empty. But the more you do it, the more you'll get used to it, and then you can also imagine one person that you're playing for, maybe a family member, maybe a friend, or somebody that even you talk on in the street and you thought they could listen very well to music or whatever. You can just imagine one person and sitting there, and you just play for that person. Then it sort of helps with the nervousness about playing
That's
for the camera.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm so glad to hear that I'm not alone on that side, that kind of feeling, because I honestly go to the studio for the first time for this competition. So I recorded those pieces in a professional studio, and that's my first time recording piano playing in a studio.
Mm.
And I just felt strange because you're hyper aware of each note you're playing. You want to make everything
Yeah.
perfect. Like recital, you're less stressful because it's live. I mean, it is what it is. But when you record, you try to make it sound perfect. So
Mhm.
you're always not satisfied. And when I listen to it, I'm not quite satisfied with it as well. And I tried to record another one at home, and still didn't not even more dissatisfied because I just have put so much pressure on myself. I think, oh my gosh, this time I do it at home. I have to make it even better, and it have to be
Oh, I'm
perfect.
the same.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh,
I
so
we're not different. I'm the same. The amount of pressure I put on myself, or I can't watch myself again. It's so painful. Sometimes it takes me maybe 4 weeks minimum to be able to listen to myself again after recording. I mean, it's difficult for me to not criticize myself.
I'm
Maybe
quite
I
the
should
same.
do a video where I listen to myself on YouTube and I just
Yes, in
oh
time when you do your recording, you can film it and share that in your blog or YouTube channels. People will love it. I would love to see it.
I think I'll probably cover my face the whole time. Just, oh
No,
no, oh no.
great because you have a lot of experience. I'm quite sure.
But still, you never. This is something that you never played so well, so perfectly. You can never say, "Oh yeah, I've done it all. I'm perfect. That's it." It's never ending.
Mm,
I'm pretty sure that really big names out there, they probably also criticize themselves.
yeah,
So
yeah. Some of them have stage fright as well, even if
all
they're
of them,
kind of
all of
happy.
them. I had I had some lessons with a very famous teacher, and I was saying to him, I think I was in my 20s or something. I said, "Well, you know what? I'm not really happy how my career is at the moment." And he looked at me and he said, "If you ask Martha Argerich right now, I'm pretty sure she'll also say the same thing to you back." I said, "Really?" So that was, that was really that was. He said, "No, no pianist," and I mean, there's nobody is just happy completely with what they do, but they just do the thing. That's it. They don't think about it. They just do it. So then it sort of put me my feet on the ground a little bit, and I understood. Okay, maybe it's something of the human nature that we're acting, talking, and thinking like that.
Exactly.
So yeah, just when you get nervous, just remember we're the same. We're all the same. We're human.
Thank you. We just need more. We just need to just keep doing it and keep practicing. Keep practicing performing, and keep practicing playing. And
Yes.
as you get better,
Yes,
I
and
think.
also the most important, hear yourself outside of the piano. That way
Mm-hmm.
you can just make art. You can just create on the moment. Then it's also not that you try to memorize some ways of playing. It's not like you're memorizing emotions or the forte pianos, but you are thinking, okay, I started, and every instrument is also different. Maybe sometimes you're not going to play on your instrument that you're used to. Then you can adjust accordingly,
Mm-hmm.
play in a different hall or something like that. Then you have a chance, because every time it's just all new. Everything is a new experience. So you have to be able to just in that moment adjust and change as you go.
Mm,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Oh,
Okay. Well, thank you very much, and I wish you all the best for the competition
thank you
and
so
also
much.
in the future.
Yes.
And yeah, see you next time.
See you. Shall we just log out?